Mark Stebbins was a 12-year-old boy from Ferndale, Michigan. He went missing on February 15th of 1976 and was found on February 19th of 1976. It said that Mark was at the Legion Hall, I think with his brother, and about 1:30 in the afternoon he phoned his mother to let her know that he was going to go ahead and walk home. Now, for some reason, she didn't find out until 11 o'clock at night that he never made it home. So on the 19th of February at 11:45, a businessman was walking to his car from the office because it was lunch break. He saw Mark's body, and so now there was another person who said they had gone through at 9:30. When they were walking through, there wasn't a body. I mean, it's just like broad daylight. While apparently all these businesses are open and people are out and about, and someone left him in the parking lot, but nobody saw anything. That's pretty brazen. And so here we can start to see kind of similarities between the Richard Chaddick case and Mark Stebbins. Both boys were held for a number of days, and both boys died from asphyxia. Also, both boys were Catholic. Now, there's a strange thing that occurred. Apparently, when they did the autopsy on Mark, they washed him off first and washed away fingerprints and who knows what else. And it just kind of makes you wonder, what are these people purposely interfering, or are they really just that dumb? I don't know. Now another thing I found that was really sad. Initially, they didn't have a photograph of him to release, so they had to have a sketch artist draw the little boy's picture. I don't know. It's just very sad, I thought. So now the second child, and I say second because the media has grouped these kids together as 4 children. But there are actually 3 other children prior to these 4. So I will be, covering all 7 children. But so the second one in this set of children was Jill Robinson. Now, she was last seen on December 22nd of 1976, and her body was found on December 26th of 1976. Just like Stebbins, Jill Robinson was also kept for 4 days before she was found. Now, it said that she had had an argument with her mother that afternoon. Now, apparently, her mother had asked her to help prepare dinner, and Jill refused. So her mother told her to leave the house and not come back until she was ready to be part of the family. So she packed her backpack and went on her bike to her dad's house. Sadly, she never made it there. So a family friend said that she saw Jill at the hobby store that afternoon. But then she was reported missing about 11:30 that evening. Now, there were 2 witnesses who said that they saw Jill at a donut shop the following morning about 6 a.m. Now, of the 4 that came after the 3 children, she was the only one who was shot. And I kind of have a theory about this. Again, it seems it happened in broad daylight and she was left on the side of the road. My thinking is that the killer had to hurry up and do something, and I think maybe he thought she had died from the asphyxiation, but when he went to leave her on the side of the road, maybe he discovered that she was actually still breathing, and so had to hurry up quick and, shoot her. Sorry, so again, it's really strange that he did this in the daytime, right there on the side of the road. You know, gunshot goes off, nobody heard anything. So anyway, so a passerby had noticed something red in the snow, and that's when she was discovered. It's very strange. Like, where'd she get the money? You know, where was she all night? So I don't know if she, you know, maybe it was with someone she thought she could trust, and they gave her money. She also had been bathed, just like Richard Chaddock. Now, the third/sixth child to go missing was 10-year-old Christine Mahalik. Now, Christine had gotten permission from her mom to go to the 7-Eleven. Now, she was last seen on January 2nd of 1977 and was found on January 21st. So, in her case, she was held for 19 days. Now, again, she was found on the side of the road and had been suffocated. And so I guess it was a mailman who found her. And now, again, there's no signs of any kind of violence. Same as with Richard Chaddock. Now, oddly, and I don't, you know, really like to discuss this part of these cases, but you know, in terms of MO, it looks like the boys in these cases were molested and the girls were not. Now, Richard Chaddock also was not molested, and yet he's a boy. So once Christine was found, it's at this point that the police decided to set up a task force. Each of the kids was from a different town, but what it kind of seems to me is that these aren't actually towns, they're just like suburbs of Dearborn, Michigan. So maybe it's because she was in a different police jurisdiction, I'm not really sure, but she was, like I said, actually the sixth child in this whole string of child murders. And so why they waited so long, I'm not really clear. You know, and it's listing these kids as runaways, to me, is just the most insane thing. Just because the child ran away does not mean that they're not in danger. So now the fourth/seventh was 11-year-old Timothy King. Timothy was taken on March 16th of 1977, and then his body was found on March 22nd, 1977. And here again, you know, there were signs of molestation. Now, Timothy, again, was Catholic, and so Timothy King also was headed to the store. It said he had 30 cents and wanted to go buy some candy. Now, he left with a football and a skateboard, so he probably wasn't planning on coming straight home, maybe go play with friends. He actually did make it to the store, though, and they found a clerk who remembered selling him the candy, just that he had asked his sister to please leave the door ajar so that he would be able to get back in when he came home. And so, you know, later on, when the rest of the family came home, they found that the door was still ajar. So now, in the Timothy King case, they did see a vehicle, and someone, I guess, was talking to Timmy in a parking lot. 76 blue Gremlin. It had like a white, the lady said hockey stripe on the side. Now that man was described as being 25 to 35 years old with what they call mutton chop sideburns, I guess. You know, this real thick, prominent sideburns and shaggy brown hair. Now it said there was at least one other person in the vehicle besides this mutton chop driver guy. Again, we see signs that Timmy was cared for. That he did have the same clothes on, but he had been cleaned and groomed, and someone had given him Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, I'm thinking that, you know, should be a really big clue. So Mr. Mutton Chops comes into the KFC. Hello, did he use a credit card? Does anybody recognize him? You know, I don't know. Anyway, so, and here again, too, it seems like this is someone that maybe he trusted and went with willingly, because they said that they found the skateboard 15 feet away from him. So now, if if someone's going to just grab a kid off the side of the road, they're not going to grab the skateboard. That would have been dropped, and it would have been found wherever he was abducted at. Okay, so going on to the the four children. The first one of those three girls was Cynthia Cadoux. She was 16 years old, and she disappeared about, I think it was at 8:20 at night on the 15th, and she was found shortly after 1 a.m. on the 16th. So here there's kind of a divergence, because even though it was the next day, it was actually only maybe like 5 hours that she was gone. And again, we kind of see signs of maybe her going with someone she trusted. It said that she had turned down a ride home and said that she preferred to walk. And then she was supposed to go to her friend's house. The parents were under the impression that she was spending the night. The friends said that they didn't know anything about her spending the night, and so maybe that was a cover story. And it says that she actually did make it to the friend's house. She left there at like 8 o'clock at night. So I'm thinking, the parents aren't expecting her home till the next day. The friends think that she's headed home at 8 o'clock. So she must have went, to meet someone. Now, this is the first case where we see that it's a girl and she actually was molested. And she died from blunt force trauma, which is kind of a divergence from the other MOs that we've seen. Now, the second of the three before the four is Sheila Srock. Sheila was 14 years old. Now, in Sheila's case, it appears that it was a home invasion. Said she was babysitting for her brother, and someone had been breaking into houses in the area. So her and the small child were upstairs. Now, I don't know if they didn't hear the door. They were instructed not to answer the door. But apparently when the burglar knocked and didn't get an answer, he broke in. And when he didn't find anything of value, he was angered and he, molested Sheila and then murdered her. Now, there actually was a neighbor who witnessed all of this. Said he was up on his roof shoveling off some of the snow. And so by the time he was able to get down and get to a phone, she had already passed away and the intruder was gone. So now, in her case, they did have someone who actually confessed. And his name was Oliver Andrews. And I guess he was a serial burglar. And so he got life in prison. So now the third and final of the three before the four girls, or this one's a girl, children. Now, she was Jane Allen, and she was 14. Apparently she was hitchhiking. And here again, they assumed she was a runaway because she had already run away 5 times. But again, A, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what she was doing, and B, that doesn't necessarily mean she wasn't in danger, because, she's dead, so clearly she was in danger. Now, she also died from asphyxiation, but it said that she was asphyxiated from being in the trunk of a vehicle. Maybe they were just trying to transport her. Perhaps they didn't actually intend for her to die at that time. Which then, it could possibly link her more to the first 4 than to the other girl from the group of 3. So I'm going to stop this one here, and then I'm going to do part 2 with the investigation, because my app just keeps crashing, and I'm tired of making the video over and over again. So the next one will be part 4B, and it will be the investigation. And I'll go through each of the suspects and some different theories and evidence and stuff. As always, thanks for watching. Good night and God bless.